So the discovery is that action breaks inertia, creates an energy, which creates momentum. And action. Clint Morgan here, coming to you live for another episode of The Rich Mystic Man. And today I'm discussing something that has really been pivotal to my success and one of the most challenging things that I have to face on a regular basis. And that is how to show up when you don't feel like showing up. And so for me, I find my life, I guess, very emotionally driven. And I don't know if that's an individual thing or it's a lot of, most people, all people go through the same thing. And I feel like there is an element of it with everybody. And, things ebb and flow, things come and go. Energy is strong and then it's not so strong and things happen and, things happen in seasons. And what I find quite regularly is these lower states where I don't feel as happy or I don't feel as on or engaged or as motivated or as inspired as I normally would. And I want to speak into that today because I know it's obviously I'm not the only one. And there's times where you couldn't be fucked or you just feel off. And so if you're building a personal brand, you're in a sales role or you got to create content or you're a marketer or you're building a business or, anything really, and realistically, any role that you're in, if you don't feel on, really inspired, for what I do, there's a lot of content, doing podcasts, creating videos, having video days, jumping on interviews. Yes. Creating, strategizing, writing content, all this sort of stuff. These are the things that in my business that I'm responsible for. And so oftentimes I'm not really in that zone. I'm like, fuck, I even see something coming up. I'm like, oh, okay. Do I really have the capacity for that? How can I show up when I feel this way? And so one thing that I have discovered is that through action, you can shift how you're feeling. And so for me, I noticed that quite often, let's say I've got an interview scheduled or someone's wanting to catch up with me for some sort of call or something like that. And I'm like, wow, part of me just doesn't want to do it, And I'm like, you know what? I've got this here. Let's do it. My goals, my vision is a priority for me. My goals and my vision is a priority for me. And so is my family. So I was providing. So I was putting food on the table. So I've got this opportunity here where I could capture it or let it slip. Thanks, Eminem. And what I've discovered is when I muster up the courage, say, you know what, let's just do it. Get in that zone, tap into flow state. I finished the interview or the call or whatever I did. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go. What else you got? What else you got? Let's go. So the discovery is that action breaks inertia, creates an energy, which creates momentum. And so when you're feeling like that, potentially, and I say potentially there, and I'll come back to that, potentially, it's draw this potential in alignment with your highest vision. And the potentially that I mentioned before, sometimes the opposite's true, where you don't need to show up. You need to take some rest. You need to take some time offline. You need to go out into the bush. You need to go swim in a creek. You need to go to the ocean. I was talking to someone the other day and they asked how I was feeling. One of my cleaners, Tara. I said, you know what? I'm oscillating between wanting to hide under the covers, stay in bed, or stay on my beautiful land that I have, the beautiful creek and beautiful nature and amazing energy. And I could just sit there and watch that creek all day, swim in it, watch it. Be with it, be present with nature. And it's amazing. And if it fills up my cup. And then the other part wants to slay the dragon, get out there and fuck the world in a beautiful way, in a loving way. Sorry, kids. Don't use that language at home. So I'm oscillating between feeling really inspired and feeling, no. So it's a dance. It's a dance. You're navigating and oscillating between those different energies that are present. And I find by having things in your calendar, in your schedule, booked in as non-negotiables, as musts, then it calls you forward. i.e., I have an event this weekend called the Rich Man. And now I'm really excited and really inspired. There was a period where I was like, oh, like, got to do this thing. I had to really get in the zone and the energy, and so I had to like break the spell and the curse of inertia, and feeling stuck and just not uninspired and not wanting to do it and resisting it and all that sort of stuff, resisting the call to adventure. And now super excited, can't wait. I'm not even sleeping. I'm like up at 3 a.m. like, oh fuck yeah, adding that to the menu for the event. It's gonna be epic. Things are really lining up for it. I'm really excited and really inspired for what's to come. And so this is an energy it's like an energy that you cultivate. And, there's parts of stuckness. There's bits that get friction. There's friction bits. And so the journey of creating the life that you want, the results that you want, you building, laying foundations and achieving goals and going to another level and going to another level of money and business and success in yourself. There's friction points. There's sort of like bits of like flow and woo, and then there's other bits of like, oh, and we oscillate between them. And even the running event, like I know when I'm there, generally, I'm really good and in the zone. Sometimes I'll get triggered and I'll have to work through something on the thing. And then sometimes come out the other end, I'm like, such a big upgrade and experience for myself and the people that are there that it stirs the pot. You realize where you've been playing small and you purge and you release things that are no longer serving you, and you see higher vision for yourself, a greater potential, and you see the path that you're now going to step into and keep walking, the elevation of your frequency, and then walking into that, it's the same thing. There's discomfort. It's like, holy shit, you've seen a new potential, you've captured a new vision that's greater and grander than the one that you had, and then stepping into the world, it's like, oh, the stuff you got to, I don't feel ready for this. I don't have the time for this. I don't have the resources for this. I don't have the strength for this. How am I going to hold all this? I don't have the capacity for all this. All these things start to arise. That's the journey. And you decide to embark on it regardless. Oftentimes I'll have things that I've committed to. This is why it's always good to have stuff in the calendar, because if you have an event that you've scheduled, then the clocks are ticking. The event's going to come and go. That's why I love childbirth. Not that I do it. I love when my wife's pregnant, right? It's like, it's going to come out. Baby's going to grow and come out. So you got an end date. Same with your life. You're going to come, you're going to be born, you're going to live, you're going to grow up, you're going to have a life, and you're going to die. We all have an end point. So putting in these dates, if you didn't have death, imagine if you didn't have death. There'd be no real inspiration to like do anything now. It's like, yeah, I got time, whatever. I'll just float. When you get that end date, you're like, holy shit, I want to have children. I want to have experiences. I want to see the world. I want to fulfill this part of my mission. So same thing is by putting things in your calendar, whether it's a live stream or an interview or a sales call or, scheduling, doing, having a moment of doing some content or going to an event or hosting an event, or, having a masterclass or, in our community, we have momentum mastermind, not momentum. We have different masterminds. We have one coming up by the time this is launched, it'll be last week, called Make It Rain. So we have different events and they have a timeline. It's like, it's now. So you have to show up and promote it. Otherwise you miss the boat. So we can create these for ourselves. For me, when I was in this really, a prime example, I was in this, and this was a few years ago, I was in this period of inertia, and I was like, I had this big goal and this vision, and I had my business there, and it was my Enagic business. I had it there, and I wanted to build it, but I hadn't really done anything for a while, probably 6 or 7 months, and I'd taken my foot off the pedal. But I was also really broken, just really down and out and depressed. And upon reflection, this was me not showing up, like having these gifts and this potential and this purpose and this mission that I was here to do, and this being a provider. I just got with my partner, and I wasn't doing it. I wasn't showing up. I wasn't in rich mode. I hadn't activated the rich mode. I talked about this on a podcast last week. If you haven't listened to that, go back and check it out. And so I had to really pull myself, and it's like when you start going to the gym for that first week back, it's like you're just a little bit like stiff and you got to really like stretch and then you just, it's uncomfortable, man. It's uncomfortable. And what I found is like by, getting in that zone, it started to, started to feel really good. And it cultivated this life force within me. And my goal at the time was to have a full calendar. So I remember going to an event with Jeffrey Slater, and he said at the event, I can tell the success of someone by looking at their calendar. A successful person will have sales calls, meetings, content, like income producing activities. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, don't even have a calendar or don't even use a calendar. So my goal from that was like, I just want to fill up my calendar. And so I did. Within 90 days, my calendar was jam-packed, full. And so when my head hit the pillow at the end of the day, how do you think I felt? It was like, Clint, you really showed up today. You really did well, brother. You did the best you could. It's a good question to ask yourself at the end of the day. How did I do today? Did I fulfill my mission? Did I show up for my purpose? Did I just chip away? Doesn't have to be anything fucking major. It's just little bits. Just itsy bitsy bits. I heard something today. It was Alvin and the Chipmunks. My kids love that show. And Alvin, he says, Rome could have been built in a day. If I can't remember what it was, it made me laugh. Because it was like, Rome wasn't built in a day, but it was built daily. But he was saying is like, Rome could have been built in a day if, and he had some like thing that the other person wasn't doing. Anyway, it was quite funny. So, point of the story, you show up, honor your commitments. And if you have to show up in that state, it's like, I can be super, really, like feeling like, or really, be really angry or really frustrated or really, I just wanted to bite someone. Yeah. My kids still need to eat, you know what I mean? They still need to sleep. It's like, you can't just run out the house. I mean, if my wife says sometimes, I'm like, babe, I just need 10. I'm going for a walk. But if it's just me, I can't just leave them. So I need to show up. It's the same thing for your purpose, same thing for your mission. It's like, if you show up in that, so that's what I mean. It's like, you be the judge. Do I need to like take some time out and have a break? Warranted. Absolutely. You do. Yes, do that. Do I need to show up and, be in there regardless of how I'm feeling? Yes, absolutely. You need to do that. So it's only you that can decipher which one and when, and what's the right thing for you in that moment. But show up. And this cultivates energy. I know my wife, she's like, when I'm like, talking business or sales or, creating results and success. And she's like, oh no, it's hot. I love it when you're like that. Right. And then, and on the other side, the flip side, when I'm like down and broken, and it's not like she doesn't love me and she's not there for me, but you can see it's not the same like level of attraction. Right. And it's because I'm like I'm like, I'm just got that, that fighter, that killer, that warrior energy. She can feel that, sense that. So she's turned on by that because I'm turned on by life. I'm turned on by life. Too many people are saying no to their purpose, no to life. Now your no is important. Say no to what you don't want, no to what you refuse, absolutely. And are you saying no to your life, to your purpose, to your mission, what you're here to fulfill? This is one. Saying no with a firm boundary. No, I don't accept that bullshit anymore, Clint. Holds power, adds vitality. Saying no to your purpose and no to your mission and no to yourself and no to life drains energy, drains life force. More about that in the next episode. So, as a take home, if I can impart one thing from this podcast, it's funny I've said that and I'm like, I'm not sure what it is yet, but I'm waiting for it to come out of my mouth and hopefully it's profound, is to start something, to move the needle, to get into movement, honoring commitments, honoring mission, honoring money and what that provides for you, your family, and showing up for that. Please do it for yourself. Do it for your family. Do it for your sons, your children. your future generations. Do it for those who walked before you to give you life. As an honoring, as a gesture of your appreciation, as a gesture of your appreciation for life that you've been gifted. Show up. Be yourself. Fulfill your mission. Let go of the bullshit and be the best version of you that you can be. See you next week.
Sitting here watching the clock, I'm struggling, thinking of the bullshit that I've been juggling. Is there more to life than this? I'm thinking twice about the price I'm paying in this 9 to 5.